on other people in the team, on their posts, even their personal posts on their own page, not just groups and things like that. When I start seeing that interaction, I know that they're a lot more serious. And when I know they're doing their basic invites and their vital behaviors as well. But for me, it's when they become more of a team player and they start interacting with the team. Those have been like few and far between for me. I mean, I have a lot of coaches sign up. They say they want to do this, and then they drop off. But it's those ones that really connect with the team that seem to take to the next level.
Right. And what I'll tell you about that is you can kind of spot those kind of people in your challenge groups before they even become coaches, which is pretty cool. Okay, so kind of really starting to encourage the other members, interact with the other team members, even if they're not necessarily in their downline. And honestly, like trying to get your challengers to do that and setting that kind of that like precedent during your prep week, really starting to get them to be like, all right, one of the main things that's going to make this experience better for you and help you get even better results is getting out of your comfort zone and encouraging and interacting with the other people in the group. If you kind of set that stage in the prep week, you're going to get them to really start to do that. And maybe they even fall in love with that. Maybe they were a little shy to do that, but because you got them to do that, they fall in love with it. And that's what kind of launches them to want to become a coach. And they didn't even realize that was something they would love doing. So I think it kind of starts in the challenge groups. But yeah, that's a great point. Anyone else have anything you guys like that you notice or you're looking for in your up and coming leaders?
I can share noticing people trying new things like on their own and taking initiative to do that with a few things, and also showing up for calls, like any kind of calls, is a big deal. So those are two big things I notice.
Awesome. So interacting with the other people on the team, they're showing up for calls.
They're trying new things like freemiums and events and things like that.
Okay, interacting, showing up.
Asking questions. Big one.
Okay, so these are all like things that are great. Like the reason, kind of partly why I'm having you guys do this and have this conversation is I want to like get our coaches, our new coaches, in the habit of doing these things like right from day one. You know, like, and even before that, like I want to get our challengers in the habit of doing these things right from day one. So setting the precedent that the more you interact, the more fun it's going to be. The more you encourage the other members, the more fun it's going to be, the better the results right from day one. And then also letting them know that questions are a good thing. A lot of times coaches are afraid to ask questions, but when you tell a new coach that the coaches that ask the most questions have the most success, they're going to be more likely to ask questions. And especially if you let them know that you want them to ask questions, I always tell my new coaches that exactly what I just told you. The coaches that ask the most questions have the most success, and the coaches that are asking the most questions are the one that I get the most excited about, and they're the ones that I want to work with the most. The coaches that aren't saying anything, that aren't asking questions, I get nervous about. So don't feel like you're bugging me. It's actually exciting to me when you're reaching out to me and asking questions. And sometimes, you know, if they ask a question twice, I still say, listen, I had to ask the same questions a few times when I was a new coach. And sometimes it took, I'm a slow learner. It took me a few times before I got before it set in. So when in doubt, you know, post in the group. And if that doesn't work, you can ask me questions. But if it's a brand new coach, I'm having them ask me questions. So they're setting that precedent right from day one. So now we're starting to like create habits and qualities of our leaders, of our coaches that are turning into these developing leaders. And we're starting to set those qualities in our new coaches from day one. So interacting, encouraging the other members, showing up on team calls, letting them know how important that is, letting them know how important it is to ask questions. And what else you guys got?
What was the initial question? I'm kind of grasping it, but just so I can hear it.
So I just kicked the call off by kind of talking about how, you know, rank is great, but really but it only shows part of the picture. The leadership ladder shows the big picture. It shows everything. So yes. What I'm focused on is I want to help coaches get to the team leader rank. And I think the most important thing on team leader rank is 5,000 team volume points per month in your weak leg. So how do you get to that? Anyone on this call, how do you get to that point where you're getting basically 1,000 team volume points a week on your weak leg? And the answer to that is develop some leaders. You know, maybe one or even one is a good start. So our question is kind of like, what qualities are we seeing in our current leaders, our current like up and coming leaders? And we want to kind of pinpoint those qualities so that we can look for those more, and also try to like instill those qualities in our new coaches from day one. So the ones we've kind of talked about are trying to encourage our brand new coaches and even our challengers to interact more with the other people and encourage the other people. Showing up on calls obviously is huge. And then also getting them really comfortable with asking questions and telling them how important it is that they're asking questions along the way, and that we're actually getting more excited, not mad at them, you know, and if they're not asking questions, that's when we start to get a little nervous. So those qualities we notice in these up and coming leaders, let's try to get those qualities in our new coaches from day one. So what other qualities do you guys see in your current leaders or your current kind of like developing up and coming leaders?
I think a big thing, like you were saying, is just spotting them at first. Like when I hold sneak peeks, like the people that are posting in there consistently or reaching out to me with questions and stuff, like I know they're going to be good coaches. Whereas the people who I'm like, hey, how's the group going? Whatever, and I don't hear from them, like I already know I'm not going to spend as much time convincing them. And same with challengers. Like I don't want to have to keep checking in all the time with people to like post in the group. So I think that's like the spotting part that you were talking about, is you could just see that and really giving that recognition. Like I just posted publicly that I was giving my sampler pack that we got for Hitting Success Club to a challenger in my coach group who's been like posting on her wall and like on Snapchat and stuff and like sharing what she's doing. So I think that's just, and giving her the belief that like she will be a good coach because she's not at her ideal weight and that's her biggest fear, but she loves the challenge group. And I think she's going to make an awesome coach, but just doing that. And then, that's just for finding them.
That's great. That's like, so kind of like adding on to from day one, trying to instill those qualities in our coaches. And the next thing is when you see them showing those qualities, you know, asking questions, encouraging the other members, showing up to team calls, sharing stuff on social media, recognize them for it. Celebrate those, even like the little things, like recognize them in your coach group. If they ask questions, if you're like, this person is asking a lot of questions. I know it doesn't sound like the sexiest thing to recognize people for, but if you're recognizing people for those things, they're going to do it more. And those are the things that are going to get people to turn into those leaders.
I mean, Emily Kraushaar is not on this call, but her first month as a coach, she called me like every single day. And like, that's what I like want. Like, you know, it wasn't like annoying, but like she just was always reaching out. And like you said, like when people don't, I'm like, they're not doing anything, obviously, if they're not talking to me, especially as a new coach. Like you don't know everything from day one. Right. So getting them. So number one, try to spot those qualities. Number two, try to instill those qualities in the coaches and your challengers. And then number three, really recognize them for those qualities when you see them doing those things. But okay, so what other qualities besides the one we kind of already talked about? They ask a lot of questions. They show up to the calls.
They're active in Coach Basics. Or like if I see them commenting or like posting on social media, sometimes I'll reach out to them. Like I just set up a call one-on-one.
Okay, so that kind of brings up, something I want to talk about actually. I've noticed like the Coach Basics I'm running is like becoming huge again. Like the one that I do every first Monday of the month. And we started out, when we first did Coach Basics, it was like groups of 10. And it worked amazing. And then like they got huge again, and we're like, I don't think the coaches are getting as much out of it. Let's kind of create smaller groups, and the leaders are going to have to step up and start to run some of their own groups, like Diamond and above can start running their own groups. And then that way the coaches get more out of it. I feel they do. just like in a
I felt
challenge
like
group.
I was in yours last month, and like I had 5 coaches in there, and 3 of them posted every single day. But like I think whether it's a small or a big group, like if they want this, they're gonna do it, regardless of how big or small the group is.
Right. There's going to be people that are going to do it regardless of whether or not it's big or small. And then there's some coaches that could make great coaches, but they need a little bit more of that smaller atmosphere. So obviously, you know, you guys are more than likely, or more than you guys can add as many coaches to my Coach Basics and Emerald and Diamond group. I don't care. But just something to kind of keep in mind. Depends on how you guys want to do it, and based on what coaches you're putting into groups. Like I know what I've done that's been successful in the past is if I have a challenge group of like, let's say 7 people in a challenge group and 4 of them want to become coaches, I'll run a Coach Basics just for those 4 people. And they end up having so much success with it because they came out of the challenge group together, really interacting with each other, having a great time, really got to know each other, supported each other through the entire process. Now they're going to support each other through what it takes to become a good coach, the kind of the learning phases of becoming a coach. And I think if I had just thrown them into like a big group, they would have lost that little community. So I mean, those are just kind of things I've noticed, but.
Yeah. I think a big thing, like if you do big or small, to like you be in there with them. Like every single day I was commenting and liking what they were doing. And another thing is success partners. Right off the bat, like my 3 coaches that I enrolled in March, I did a group message with the 3 of them. After like a week and a half, they just kind of seemed similar, and they're killing it. They have their own success. They have their own group message thread. They all hit Emerald within 3 weeks. They all have Success Club points on the board, and 2 of them are going to Summit already. And like they talk back and forth, and I'm in their message thread with them. And they did Coach Basics together and like tagged each other. So I think like tagging up team or success partners is big.
So, okay. I mean, that's huge. So maybe like we could keep like the bigger groups, but then have like smaller little group messages for your like 2 or 3 people. And if maybe,
I mean, that doesn't have to be, you can still do small Coach Basics, but yeah, I just did a group message with the 3 of them because they all enrolled within a couple days, and I think it's really helped them because they like check each other's profiles, and like they're like already are like friends, and they don't even know each other, but like they came in all at the same level. So I think that helped them.
Right. I look at when a coach signs up, like I'm huge. I really think the foundation of my business, at least, is what I do with my challengers after they buy the challenge pack. How much of an experience do I give them? The better the experience, the more they fall in love with the products. The more they fall in love with what we do as coaches in that challenge group experience, and the more likely they're going to become a coach. I really think that experience, once they order the challenge pack, is huge. I also think once they become a coach, what you do with them after that, like the experience you give them, not just throwing videos at them, but trying to, like Amy said, like get them that success partner, just like you do in a challenge group. That community environment is huge for helping people get results with the 21-day fix. It's huge for helping new coaches gain that confidence with the business. So if they're just kind of in it on their own, it's like running a challenge group with one person in it. It's not as beneficial.
I got a question on that. I was going to start my team's Coach Basics with the app next week. So do you recommend not doing Coach Basics with the app?
Oh, I don't know. I mean,
has anyone done that or tried that yet? No.
I haven't.
I'll give it a shot and see how it goes. I'm really curious. I've narrowed mine down to 2 weeks Coach Basics, so I have everything I want to give them, but I want to try it through the app and see how that works and see if it helps participation.
Yeah, let us know how that goes. Okay, what other qualities do you guys see in your coaches that are turning into leaders?
I think hitting Success Club, obviously everyone should be doing it, but when a brand new coach, I think, hits Success Club their first month, I think a lot of it is because it comes from their warm market. So it can be easy to hit Success Club your first month. I think, for a lot of people. But it's when they hit it the second month and the third month, that's when I can tell that they're going to be a leader, because maybe they like hit up their friends and family that first month, which it's exciting. And so then it kind of like drives them, motivates them. But when they continue to hit it because they started doing invites from day one, and then they start to see those people come back around. So I think it's huge when they start to hit it like month 2 and month 3 is even better than hitting it month 1.
So like,
I think because mostly it's coming from warm market in month 1.
So from day 1, they are reaching out to a cold market. They're starting to like use social media to interact with new people from day 1.
Yeah, I think it's hard. Like, if I were to start day 1, you probably aren't going to sell too many challenge packs that first month from invites in cold market, because as we know, it takes time for those people. But if you're doing invites and stuff from day 1 and posting consistently, then those people will come back around. And so I think it's huge if they're hitting it month 2 and 3 and 4 and 5.
Yeah, I totally agree. Because when you like, even if you start doing that day 1, that cold market, they have to watch you for a while before they're ready to commit. So kind of while you're using your warm market during those first 3 months, those people that you connected with in your first month, like those new people that didn't really know you, they're kind of watching you those 3 months. So then when month 4 rolls around, maybe they're ready at that point, which kind of helps when your warm market starts quieting down a little bit. So yeah, that's great. Any other qualities?
To piggyback on what Laura said, like, yeah, I feel like when you hit Success Club your first month, that is usually warm market. And sometimes even the second, I start to see people slow down around the 3rd, 4th. Like, I consider someone like, oh, they're doing really well if they can hit it past 3 months. But what Laura was saying was good. Like, if they're off the bat inviting people in their cold market, like consistently adding new people and stuff, like that's going to show that they're going to be a leader and develop into one, because they're already putting the stones down for the next 3-4 months instead of just their warm market, which is going to run out essentially. So yeah, they're right off. And I think that's something I stress now, because I've noticed that, like Laura was saying, like as a huge pattern, like, oh, like so exciting, you hit Success Club your first or second month, and then all of a sudden it's hard because you're not talking to your best friend or your mom or your dad. So I think that instilling that in the beginning and saying, like, letting them know, like, it might be a little bit easier in the beginning talking to people but it really is important to be adding new people every day, reaching out to new people outside of your warm market for the months to come later. Like, start that from the beginning.
Yeah. Yep. So again, like, another great thing to really start to emphasize to brand new coaches, so that we don't wait until, month 3 or 4 to start telling them that stuff. All right. What other qualities do you guys see in your up-and-coming leaders?
I think that it's super important. Obviously the first challenge group, they should be in yours, I think anyway, if they start as a brand new coach. But in their second month, if they're eager right off the bat to start their own challenge group, and even in their first month, if they're excited and eager to start a free group on their own and kind of take ownership of their business instead of kind of having that fear to do it up on their own.
Right. Taking ownership. And I think the more you really connect with your challengers, the better the experience they have in your challenge groups, the more likely they're going to want to jump right into giving their own challenge groups to other people, running their own challenge groups. But if you kind of like throw them into like a big one, or you don't really interact with them and they're just kind of like going through the flow, kind of doing the workouts on their own, and they are like, hey, I think I'll be a coach. Like, they didn't really have the best experience. So it's going to be a little tougher for them. Let's just put it this way. The new coaches that I train that have gone through a challenge group and were in a kick-ass challenge group have such a better learning curve than the coaches that just had never been through a challenge group or didn't really go through a good one. It's like night and day. So I think it really does kind of start with how the experience we give them in that challenge group. they're going to be more likely to take that ownership and lead their own. But that's a great point. What else you guys got? What else you guys noticing in your rock stars? Nobody said personal development. I'm kind of nervous about that.
I'm having mine work on a coming out post.
Okay.
So helping them like actually like get through the challenge and then like post like that they are actually doing this and coming out. And I feel like when they get that out and they like, come outside their comfort zone, it's like so much easier for them to start talking to people and like continuing on with maybe posting, because some of them are just nervous to like get it out there.
Right.
So I've been helping them write that and then maybe follow up with people that comment on that or like that post. So that's helped like 2 of my coaches hit Success Club the first 2 months.
Nice. What is that? Like, what do you say in that post? Like, what are you telling them to write?
Well, I tell them like basically if they sign up to be a coach and they're getting through the challenge group, like it helps them. I'm like, okay, well, like in a couple of weeks, we're going to do like a coming out post after you finish your challenge about like your journey with the 21-day fix and why you became a coach, and just let people know like sort of like this is what you're doing now. And so one, it helps them stay way more committed to the actual fitness group where they really want to get results so that they can share it. And then they basically like everyone's different, but like why they decided to do it. And a lot of them will just share their experience with the 3 weeks, how they've lost like, 5 or 10 pounds. They found a new group, they're doing this for whatever their personal reasons are. And then they'll post about it just to like get it out there. So that's helped like 3 of my new coaches.
Nice.
And it just gives them more confidence, I think, to like step outside their comfort zone.
I like that. I need to do a better job of that. I don't really – that's what we're kind of going to talk a little bit about on the team call, like what to post. That's one of the things we're going to talk about. Because I don't think I do a great job of saying, all right, you're a coach. Like I talk to them about how to find people and, how to go through the invite process, how to run a great challenge group. But one thing I think people are missing is sharing their own journey on social media.
Yeah. And then I don't know if Amy mentioned this, but then what I did was I took like 2 or 3 girls that all started the same time, and I put them on a group message and I sent them the posting guide, like what Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And I said, okay, like starting on Monday, the 3 of us are going to post. And Ashley Felvenstein came up with this posting schedule. We're going to post on Monday. It's like never miss a Monday. Tuesday is like a transformation story. So in the small group message, like the 2 or 3 girls are like sharing like, I don't know what to say, or what are you guys posting? And they're kind of like giving each other ideas and then, giving each other confidence to post it. And then once they do, then we move on to Tuesday. And now we're on day, 3 right now, but they're finding it easier. And they also have a new group of like accountability people that started at the same time as them.
That's a great idea. Maybe like once I get to that part of the call, would you mind like kind of sharing that little schedule?
Yeah.
All right, cool. All right, I'm just sending out one last reminder.
You want some water?